See, we have a problem here at Third Eye Global. It's that we're way too Chad, and we touch too much grass to relate with a lot of nematode Johnny Pencilnecks. This is a topic that has been pumped into my algorithms and feeds nonstop. Stop killing games? What are we talking about here? Maybe we need to start killing more games. I've never seen a more bloated topic in my entire life. Because everyone's favorite commentary channel and reactor is talking about this nonsense slop. And I want a piece of the pie. In fact, I want my slop tax. As far as I understand it, there's a movement where people want game developers who are beholden to large corporations to stop killing their games. Now, what does that mean? It means that they want an afterlife plan for the games. Meaning, when the juice is not worth the squeeze anymore, a lot of these game developers just go, sing! And they stop servicing the game. And it makes people pretty angry because they just paid $60, sometimes even $80 now for their game, and they can't even play it because it's killed. This has to do with pirate software, the internet's newest villain, Mr. Roach himself in Hardcore WoW, OnlyFans, Dire Maul. Yeah, I've seen the tapes. Not a pro gamer move, if I'm being honest. There's a video by Bellular, who's a World of Warcraft news creator, as well as gamer. And we're going to tap in right now, okay? Stop Killing Games was doomed. Now it can't be stopped. There's a petition that everyone is signing in Europe. This is not an American problem, as far as I'm aware. Okay, I don't really care about these games that they're killing because there's only a couple games that actually matter, and it's Halo 3 and Classic WoW. So, yeah, you can kill all the other games. Stop killing games, more like stop killing gains. Get outside, maybe lift some weights. Stop being allergic to red meat and sunlight.
The last time we covered it, the European Citizens Initiative, which is the part of it that matters the most, had just opened. As of right now, you've got just days to join it, meaning that this is your last chance to make your voice heard and hopefully prevent the games that you buy from being destroyed. But here's the thing, until last week, it really did seem to be rather doomed. They needed...
Who's DDoSing me? Who's hitting me with the Matrix attack? I'm paying for 2 gigabit internet connection and you can't even render a YouTube video. I'm gonna crash out.
Hundreds and hundreds and hundreds, over 500,000 more signatures. But, well, right now it's getting thousands an hour. The reason why is quite funny. So here's what happened. They needed to hit 1 million signatures, but after months of stalling, they only had 450k. But then, over the horizon, a savior came. That savior is pirate software. And that's because his
He's my favorite streamer. He's just so alpha and cool, and his name is Thor. And his voice is so deep. Oh, he's such a Giga Chad, dude. Oh, I love pirate software. He's so good at video games.
Plus a few pinches of World of Warcraft sparked a drama that is now surging signatures to the tune of...
Why would you watch other streamers cope when you can watch us win? I don't understand it. What is wrong with these people? You see, I'm over here trying to extend an olive branch to the gaming community on the internet. I'm just exhausted at the fact that they have these false prophets, these false idols, okay? Maybe they don't know that you could actually be handsome and attractive and funny and charismatic and good at video games at the same time. So they settle for people who don't shower and use the best soap in the world, which is Cheeky, and use code Philion at checkout to get a starter pack and 10% off and free shipping in the US. They don't even know, dude.
Over 240,000 in just 7 days. So, time to get you up to speed. It all began last year when the darlings at Ubisoft shut down the crew. Now, they didn't just shut down the online features, they shut down everything, because as it turns out, even the single player required the online component. That basically meant that your copy of the crew was, no longer a thing.
Who's playing that game? Actually, I am.
you could really do anything with. So, Ross Scott from Accursed Farms was not a fan of this, so he started a movement. Now, you may know Ross from things like Freeman's Mind or Dead Game News, and his plan...
Maybe we should actually start killing games. That was...
Right? Was to use the law, not change.org, to...
Maybe we need to start benching 225. Take some ownership in our life here.
Actually change things here. And it certainly seems that now, a year on, he actually may succeed in a way. So basically, right, Ross believes that consumers bought a product with games like The Crew, and that product was then taken away. But from Ubisoft's perspective, it's rather different. They argue that they sold a license to
I just want to be clear that the only reason we're covering this is because I'm tired of seeing Pirate Software's face plastered on my news feed on YouTube. Shut the fuck up.
Service, a service that they could simply end whenever they wanted. So put simply, what this movement aims to do is to address this grey area so that at the very least, people would get formal clarity on what they were actually buying. Best case scenario would involve something basically with more teeth. Now, this was all multi-pronged. There was a UK...
You know what? There's too many games, and they're not good. Kill them all.
Campaign that hit problems early on with the government claiming that existing laws already cover the issue. As for the US, well, basically, it was never an option because of already settled law. Now, because of this, stuff looked grim. But last summer, another path opened, and that path was the EU Citizens Initiative. So, this lets EU citizens propose legislative agendas, and this...
I can't believe that this is, like, actual legislation. The European Citizens Initiative for Gamers.
proposal was very simple. Stop destroying video games. And what it would require certainly does sound simple. It's that any game sold in the future would have to prepare for the eventuality or the possibility of server shutdowns, that they would need to remain in a functional playable state. Now this could be through, say, single player access, maybe through peer-to-peer connections.
What games are being killed? Why not just make good games? Like Banjo-Kazooie.
Up private server stuff, you get the point, right? But actually what's key right now is that at this point,
like Super Mario Sunshine,
the implementation details are actually not required. The way
you know what's better than Mario? Mario with a fucking water jetpack. You ever think of that one? No, you didn't.
this works is that if it is successful, the EU will then have 6 months to respond, and if they say yes, then they will adopt a resolution. And that would guide EU activity, but it would not...
Sorry, Phil, League of Legends has got to go. I'm okay with that. That game is cancer.
...mean a whole bunch of new super hasty laws. But make no mistake, it would actually matter. And that's because EU policy has got global impact. I mean, it's pretty obvious now. Just look at Apple and Google for one example. Now, for this, all that's needed is A, 1 million signatures, and B, a minimum threshold being passed in it.
1 million signatures? I feel like that's not even that much. I mean, here at Third Eye Global, we can't even sniff 1 million subs, but that's because we have a bunch of soy boys watching us and performatively unsubscribing. They were just never actually high-value men to begin with, and that's the problem.
At least 7 EU countries, which basically just exists, so, I don't know. If the French
You
all
could probably go on Fiverr and hire 1 million Indians to sign this shit for you for like $12.
together and want something that nobody else wants and only one country passes, then hey, the EU's safe. Anyway, you get the point. That is the challenge. Those are the stakes. So here's what happened next. Going through the requirements, the regional...
Like, there's people on the edge of their seats waiting for the new Assassin's Creed game. As if it's not the exact same game, but just soy and gay now.
thresholds do seem to be quite manageable, right? Now, the 1 million signatures is quite a lot. I mean, a hell of a lot. And success there would require a multilingual international...
Dude, back in my day, games didn't have an afterlife. You'd get the disc, you put it in, there was no cringe update that took up your entire disk space your hard drive. You just played the game. And again, there was no online. It was single-player Chad mode only.
Campaign, one that's actually centered on EU citizens. Who was leading it? Well, an English-speaking YouTuber with a cult following, which, I mean in a positive way, just so I'm being clear. But basically, it's not a huge number of people. Now, this story obviously...
Back in my day, they had the eternal life these dudes want. So they should start just playing old games.
Did cut through. Loads of people covered it, us included. And the early...
You know what would happen if I scratched my disc? I would have to go put Colgate toothpaste on it and pray that it worked. Which is true. You know what would happen if my Xbox got the red ring of death? I had to go work an entire summer to then buy a new one for it to happen 3 months later again. I would have to look up tutorials on why brute forcing, smacking my console with a ball-peen hammer was actually a smart idea.
momentum was really strong. Until it was.
You know what would happen in my day if my game didn't work and my game was killed? I would have to give the cartridge a fucking sloppy toppy blowjob. Over and over again.
Now, this is because some things...
All these gamers are so soy, dude. Oh my god. You know, I don't even want them. If you're a gamer and you like my takes, you have to perform 20 push-ups in a row to join Third Eye Global. Don't click subscribe because you're enamored by my energy and machismo. Just don't even think about it before you're cranking those push-ups.
Fell through. One being a planned feature in GOG's email newsletter that was tanked by that company having layoffs. Even Heineken, yes, Heineken, the beer people, wanted to include the campaign in their marketing, but only after the petition ended. But there is another one, and I think I know it's the one you want me to talk about. It's the pirate. Okay.
Yarg! Back in my day, pirates had aura. They would slam rum and pillage new lands and get booty and plunder and scurvy and fucking have 12 oranges just to feel something. Now, they use voice changers on their Shure SM7B to sound masculine.
Pirate Software opposed the initiative. This is back when it all kicked off. So what I'll do here is boil down what I essentially think is the best case.
Yeah. If you're a pirate, it's necessary. You either have a peg leg or you get gout and hallucinate mermaids and goon to that mermussy. I know you've seen The Lighthouse. Those flaps are juicy.
Or like the best faith version of his argument, which is essentially that in very many cases, over-regulation often actually helps the incumbents. In this case, would help the AAA companies. The reason being that they would be the only companies with the resources to actually overcome the regulations. That is actually a fair enough, reasonable argument. But I think in practice, it's fair to say that Pirate Software, in his 2 videos, was not really steel-manning his opposition. There were some errors.
Eye patch is also acceptable. This guy's got none of it. No eye patch, no peg leg. No parrot, no scurvy, no gout, no citrus, no booty, no plunder, no ship, no hook hand, and he wants to call himself Pirate Software.
Wasn't really a great situation, but really...
No rum? Never heard him once go, "Yar! Walk the plank or face the poop deck."
This story
no pistol, no sword. I haven't seen him scrub shit.
The key thing to remember, the initial...
Pirate Software, more like Pirate Soyware.
I'll say drama, let's just say hot public disagreement. That with Pirate happened when, let's just say, his internet stopped.
No X marks the spot, not a single gold doubloon.
Were in a slightly different and altogether more healthy place. Since
Holy buckets, we're getting bunker busted. Sergio Garza with the 2 says, what's your go-to console, my dude? Alright. This is the official Philion console tier list. Obviously, I was raised off of Nintendo 64 because my older cousins and siblings, I mean, that is Kino. Well, what about Super Nintendo? Super Nintendo was necessary for N64 to reshape what we thought of this world as we know it, okay? But I'd be lying if I wasn't a fiend for that there GameCube, okay? That's where I was raised. Those are the trenches that I was part of. Super Smash Bros. Melee. Mario Kart Double Dash. Legend of Zelda Wind Waker. Don't even get me started on Shrek 2, okay? Then you got the Wii. I remember like it was yesterday, 2006, waking up on Christmas morning. There was one box left and I was about to have a generational white boy crash out if that wasn't a Wii, like a spoiled little brat, and guess what? It was. And I still love my mother to this day for the absolute Giga Chad move she pulled on getting me that shit, waiting in line at Toys R Us for hours in the blistering sun in Florida. I had to cross state lines for that shit. The Wii? Massive console. But I mean, the Xbox 360 was revolutionary in terms of actual gaming with the boys. So if I had to put it, you got Xbox 360, N64, GameCube, and Wii, all in S+++ tier. Everything else, I'd put PS2 up there too, in S+++ tier. Everything else, doesn't matter. You could plot those accordingly based on your interests. And I'm correct. Okay? Let me say that again. N64, GameCube, Wii. The Triple Crown, Secretariat of Gaming. PS2, Xbox 360. Everything else can lick my balls and sniff my scrot.
A major World of Warcraft drama, which I will cover shortly. I don't like doing drama, but in this case it does actually inform how the news would play.
And that's the correct opinion, by the way. This is not up for debate. That's actual canon.
As for the initiative, well, by the following April, signatures
You'll never be a pirate. You have no ship, no crew, no treasure map. You're a landlubber twisted by Roman costumes into a crude mockery of a seafarer's glory. Explain pirate culture, discuss pirate history, make it more humorous. So true.
Sitting at 425.
You're not even a fucking swashbuckler or an admiral.
Not even halfway, and only 25,000 signatures had been added between April and last week. So it basically was dead in the water. Momentum from the previous summer had completely fizzled out. But then, with only weeks to go, Scott posted his video, and everything changed. The end of Stop Killing Games. It's a fairly dramatic, somber title for a video, and one that is fair.
I can't believe that this is hijacking everyone's feed. Stop killing games!
Absolutely did appear to be dead. It was a final plea and an explainer made by a very, very tired-looking man. It was clear to me that the campaign had taken its toll. Scott admitted as much. One choice quote, "It's like asking someone with severe dyslexia to write a book report on war and peace. I am the wrong person for that job." And I think that does speak to the...
I buckled some good swash back in my heyday. So based.
the absolutely mammoth amount of work that doing anything like this would actually require. But it's not all that Scott said. He took aim at Pirate and he explained point by point, right, how Pirate's coverage was, in his view, not at all a fair representation of the overall initiative, its goals, its specific language, and I would say from my read of it, I think Pirate almost immediately jumped straight to some worst case outcomes of a maximalist version of the campaign. Of course, we can add to that an interpersonal level to all of this. You know, the usual emotional reactions, hot words. But if it
Today, Junior? What is this Chinese internet connection? Holy buckets! Is this in 4K Dolby Digital? What? Do I not have the bandwidth? Is this a skill issue? I refuse!
It was just that. If it was only that, well, what happened would not really be what has happened. So let's talk about World of Warcraft. As I said, I hate covering drama, but today it is actually...
Yeah, let's talk about it. I'd love to talk about World of Warcraft and how Khadgar is in a wheelchair. And how there's a one-eyed black trans paladin that's now the center of the game. Can we talk about that? That's true, by the way. All of what I just said was true, by the way.
Relevant because basically it is the kindling. I think what we're seeing with this initiative would not really have played out if these World of Warcraft related events didn't play out the way that they did. Because basically this is
That's no paladin of my order, goddammit.
People were ready, willing, and even excited to hop back into the fray and to pump all of this up. So here's the TLDR. OnlyFanked is a WoW Classic hardcore streamer content guild.
Fun fact, tried to get into that guild near the end of their conquest, but obviously they were scared. They were shaking in their boots. They were quivering. Oh, no, Philion, please don't grace us with your presence. You're too good. Your PvP-ness is too girthy. Oh, you would decimate us all in duels and on the fields of strife in Warsong Gulch and in Arathai Basin. I would carve off their ears in every Mak'gora till the day I died by my sword and dagger. But they didn't let me in because they knew the aura would be way too high. I'd start my own splinter cell operation from within OnlyFangs, and it would be my guild now. Look at me. Look at me. I am the captain now. It's exactly how that would play out. Everyone knows it.
Guild. That's a lot of words, but basically think of it as a reality TV show where dozens to hundreds of hours of gameplay are at stake, because when a character dies, it is dead, just that character is gone.
This is important, chat. This is for lore building, okay? We need to understand the OnlyFangs drama to understand the genesis of the enigma that is pirate software. Guys, he roached out in Dire Maul. You just don't do that. You don't do that with your fellow party goers in the instance. You're a mage. You're a sorcerer. You control snow, fire, and arcane. And you can't even toss a brother a Frost Nova or a Polymorph? Or a fucking Clutch Portal Hearthstone? No, you can't. You can't, because your name is Pirate Software. And you're bad at World of Warcraft.
Of fans in Twitch chat and some sort of big name behind them in the form of the streamer. Pirate, along with other streamers...
This schizo rant is going to hit like 4 people, and they're going to think it's the funniest thing ever, and it's going to go over everyone else's head. Because the reality of the situation is, we haven't quite tapped into that gaming market yet, but once we do, it's GG. But as of right now, we're going to have a bunch of people that are stun-locked at my words and how fast I'm talking, but they're not actually going to understand the depth and the intellect and the jokes and the wit and the sheer IQ skill diff that I'm bringing to the table right now. So remember this moment.
We're doing a dungeon in this game. And that dungeon went poorly. People died, and of course, whenever they died, that means they lose their characters that they progressed. Now you might be thinking, so what? A World of Warcraft dungeon run went bad and people lost their characters in a hardcore server. Why is that a news story? Well, there absolutely is a reason why. So it was broadly seen that he went very much every man for himself mode, trying to save his own character, and really to the detriment of his teammates, a few of whom died. Now at the time tensions were high, and those tensions were pointed at pirate software, both from viewers and from his fellow party members. And what followed was, I think, to put a very messy thing in simple terms, in an emotional sense, the opposite of saying, shit, my bad, I'm sorry, I absolutely could have done more there, my bad. Basically owning the L, doing so in public, and doing so in a way that feels authentic. Of course, feels authentic because it actually is authentic. So if you ask me, what actually happened is a common downfall of very smart, very rational people. That's because very smart, very
The glaze is crazy. Holy shit, Bellular working as top glazer at Krispy Kreme Donuts. He's smart and rational. How smart can you be when you roach out in World of Warcraft? You're playing a mage.
Very rational people can rationalize how they are very, very right and others are very, very wrong. And from that place, it's very easy to disregard how other people think and to not have a holistic view of a situation. I mean, to put it in very simple terms, people thought he came off really defensive. And what all of this meant was fuel for the fire, an abundance of fuel. And I've got to imagine that from Pirate's point of view, it really must have looked like the entire world was against him. And I mean, in a few ways it was. It was a total mess.
You know what's cringe?
Per the dynamic.
He's playing a mage. And it requires a very specific person to play a mage. I respect druids more. That's a fact.
Dynamics of Twitch, it was an incredible content event. And the reality is that once people are against you, it's very hard to change minds. Especially when, as I think Pirate was, you're feeling quite defensive and you're very much feeling the toll of thousands of angry people being very angry at you in just about every way they can. Meaning that, yeah, some people were, let's just say, going beyond having just a civil disagreement. Now, after that point, some aftershocks followed. There was a clip of an Ashes of Creation raid pool that sparked a bit of a drama. There were then accusations of pre-watching games in order to look better on stream. There was critique of his Blizzard credentials and a whole lot of different things. Basically, he turned into somewhat of a punching bag. Now, to, I suppose, try and work through some of this, he did a session with Dr. K. I think it was a pretty enlightening one.
But he doubled down again. And was snarky the entire time. Not that I watched it. Because I go outside. And have sex.
Certainly is, I'd say, a good listen. It essentially did get into why he reacted the way he did, the way that he actually felt.
Imagine being a mage with bad mana management. You literally have something called a fucking mana potion in your bag, in your inventory. And if you're not strapped with that, you're also bad at hardcore WoW as a mage. Or a mana gem, which you can create. You can actually create that, conjure it from the ether as a mage. And you still don't click that button. You just run away like a little mouse.
I'm not going to paraphrase here too much beyond just what I've already said. That's my takeaway, so I'd recommend...
So is the controversy over his take or over the fact that he roached out on WoW? Yes. That's exactly right. I will not elaborate. It's both. Well, people see a pattern of behavior, right? Let me break this down for you guys. In many ways, there's this idea in World of Warcraft, real ones know what I'm talking about, where it's a microcosm for the macrocosm, right? Roaching out on your teammates in a guild that is supposed to be built on trust and teamwork. It shows that you're essentially a ball hog in sports. You're only thinking about yourself. You're not thinking about those assists, those passes. You're not willing to die with your boys. No. It would be valiant, it would be heroic to try to save other people, and you're very capable of doing that as a mage. So when you just turn around and leave everyone else to die, it's like, what are your true intentions here? Now, it's one thing to be a villain and do that for content, which I can see, but then this behavior manifests over into other things like stop killing games, and talking with a therapist, okay, whatever his name is, Dr. K, and he just refuses to ever accept any responsibility, which I think is kind of funny, honestly. I think it's actually, it's hilarious from like a dark tetrad point of view. It's good content, but it's making people really not enjoy him as a parasocial personality here on the internet. It's sus behavior. Now, I think people more don't like Pirate and his takes on the stop killing games thing because he's snarky and he's mean-spirited to the guy that's behind the movement.
You want more texture, more understanding of this?
The World of Warcraft thing is just hilarious. Not funny that he did it, it's funny that blew up into all of this and now it's bleeding over.
And the social dynamics that made it play out, give Dr. K's video a watch. But as it pertains to the Stop Killing Games movement, I think you can see how, well, whenever there was the initial disagreement of Ross, pirate stocks were looking pretty good. But then he was involved in several major dramas. These dramas led to hundreds and hundreds of thousands, perhaps millions of people maybe finding out about him or having a changed opinion of him. There were a lot of videos talking about, mistakes, examining everything. And that's why right now, before this video, when I just searched for pirate software on YouTube, here's what I got. We've got the pirate software unraveling featuring a game developer, 211k views. A Josh Strife Hayes reaction.
As you can see here, everyone is jumping on this bandwagon. It is just a slop fest. This guy is the most infamous name in the trenches right now. Is it warranted? Yeah. I would say this shit is blown out of proportion.
And 4k views, an Axeman video 586k views, an Upper Echelon video 266k views, one from Moist Critical 3.1 million views. And that is just the top few search results. We're talking about millions of views here. Now, while so many of these were rooted in the dramatic aspect, obviously they were related to Stop Killing Games, and they all painted Stop Killing Games in a positive...
It's like, this nothing burger sure hits the spot. That's a fact.
...positive light. And what that essentially meant is that now you didn't need to be a game preservation enthusiast to know that Stop Killing Games exists. All you needed was a passing interest in one of the larger ongoing dramas, and of course, even if you didn't have that, social media algorithms do know how to find you if you could be interested in it. All of that means a humongous megaphone, and so far, it absolutely seems it's done the trick. We've went from almost certain failure at 454k signatures
so this has Streisand affected into actually saving games because of the pirate software blow-up. This did not have the motion and momentum it had before pre-pirate software.
At the time of writing this video, 714k, and at the time of recording, which was only a few hours later, 737k signatures. Now that basically means that they need 263k in about 30 days. And obviously, if this rate holds just a little bit longer, they'll absolutely make it. Or will they? Because here's the thing, they do actually need consistent, legitimate signatures. The reason why is fairly simple. Fake ones could be stripped out. Overexcited Americans having fun with a VPN.
Right now, it has 906,000. So, yeah, it'll hit it. 90% already reached. It's got 27 days left.
I don't know. Could probably try to sign up for this. Wouldn't help the initiative. It would probably get scrubbed.
Dude, I should come out with an initiative, right? Have this cute little bar. Make me rich. And it's just 0 to $100 billion. And we need signatures, we need donations. I take credit, crypto, debit, cash. I take IOUs, coupons, gift cards. Why? Because it's necessary. Instead of Stop Killing Games, we can call it Stop Killing Gains. And it'll actually put you on the right path in life. So you could fend for yourself in this cold, dark world. We could have the threshold progress, everything like that. It'll be good.
And, well, if you're in America, you can't sign an EU petition.
Stop killing my bags. Send me money.
So it's not a guaranteed thing just yet, but it certainly is looking like it's going to pass 1 million. Now, what happens if it succeeds is basically this.
You're stopping me from having a GTR Nismo, and I need to blow past all the slugs on the freeway. That's simply a fact.
The Commission will consider further action. That could be legislative action, or it could just be guidance on existing consumer laws. Now, no matter what, the industry would have significant input, but regardless, we would get a formal statement on the matter and its legality. And that's actually a powerful starting point for future conversations and new laws. But here's the thing, it gets even better. Because those conversations have already begun, and we've already started to make progress. Through all the noise and all the drama, the core problem is fairly simple. That audiences often think they're buying
your first problem is playing a Ubisoft game. Ubisoft? Hold on, pause. Ubisoft. What about I am hard? Ubisoft, I am hard. Think about that one. Sit on that one. Marinate on that one. Little sus, little gay, little zesty. Ubisoft? I can't wait to play the new game by Ubisoft.
Product when they buy a game, but in reality, they're actually
Are you
buying
going soft on me, bro? You're not staying hard like David Goggins?
licenses. Now, since October, Steam explicitly states
What about you be hard?
that all purchases are licenses, that it's not ownership. And that was always the case, it's just that now it's no longer hidden in their EULA. And Valve's timing was...
I'm not yawning because I'm tired. I'm trying to blow out my eustachian tubes. Don't get it twisted. I'm not sleeping on you.
Let's just say curious here. That's because California signed AB 2426, stating that any media that you can't permanently access offline must be labeled as a license, not a...
I mean, you guys don't even know about the eustachian tubes, bro. You guys don't even know about this. You haven't seen a chart. You haven't taken a look at the mucous membranes. You have no idea the levels that we're operating on.
product. Now, another side to this is companies seeing PR opportunities, and there's a beautiful irony. Ubisoft, yes, the very company that started this whole mess, is actually taking action. That's because they're testing offline modes for The Crew 2 and Motorfest, and I think it's fairly clear that the Stop Killing Games movement inspired this. So, you know what? In certain ways, it's already winning. Now, another thing that could inspire this was an actual lawsuit. Specifically,
like it's not just Ubisoft, like Microsoft. What about Macro Hard? You ever think of that one? I can't wait to play the next game by Microsoft. Wow.
About the closure of The Crew. But that lawsuit is actually facing some problems right now. And that's because of a Final Fantasy XI related precedent that lets companies remove users from games.
Square Enix? More like Square Penix.
Because, well, as a user...
Baseless? Imagine having no base. God, dude, it's starting to make sense here.
all you've bought is a license, and that can be revoked. That's a ruling that obviously plays to Ubisoft's advantage in that lawsuit, but looking at the big picture, we actually do see the developers are choosing to address these issues, and not because they're being forced to by the law, seemingly because they want to. But there are many reasons for that. It could be PR, or it could simply be because they see what way the wind is blowing. Here's something cool. Take a look at Supermove's World of Parkour. This is an indie game that failed. Legal obligations prevent keeping the online functions active, but existing owners can still play it in single player. There's another example. Whenever Blizzard Entertainment purchased Spellbreak's developer, they obviously stopped the game. But months later, they released a peer-to-peer version of the game on itch.io. That's awesome. And before all of this, Valen Studios ended Knockout City, but they made sure that private servers still would work. This is basically 3 indie teams finding a way to preserve their games retroactively. It is good.
Who's playing these games, bro? Holy buckets.
Shit, it matters. Now, yes, it is the case that player counts may be in the single digits, but it preserves gaming history. If a bunch of people want to play one of these games together, they actually can. And if Stop Killing Games passes, developers would have to consider things like this, not retroactively, but from day one. And that doesn't mean you can no longer make an MMO. You can still make Helldivers, but you'll need to sell your games correctly. You'll need to label them as what they actually are. Are they products or are they licenses? And you'd need to provide some sort of exit plan whenever servers shut down. And nobody is saying that retrofitting games for offline play is an easy thing, but I don't actually...
So what about this position forces game studios to actually follow it? I have no idea. They haven't gotten that far yet.
I think that's a reason not to try this. Because in many ways, the direction of travel has not been great in gaming. It's often not been great in consumer law, at least until recently. I think making progress in this realm is absolutely a good thing. And I think the idea, why not try? Well, I think that is the attitude.
Okay, so we get 1 million petitions and then you can never kill a game again? Sounds kind of soy.
That we need. Of course, As for some of the reasons why not, you've likely heard those from Pirate Software. I think most people are thinking that on balance, no, it's actually worth giving this a shot. I think the benefits to consumer awareness, consumer protections, and, well, game preservation are pretty damn good reason.
The only parkour game you need to be playing is Mirror's Edge. They solved it. They made the game.
Why we should actually try. So, it's up to you. My question is
You have
simple.
to label it right. MMOs would be a license. Yeah, there's just a certain level of... Like my neck is too thick for this. That's just what it boils down to.
Actually, the games would have to be properly distributed, whether it's a license or a physical or digital product. You see, it's very complex. And it allows the gamers to feel some sort of community and have power again and not tolerate dead games. All you need to know is that I have the correct takes. Everything I say is based and true, and everything that you hear from other streamers is factually incorrect and gay. My shoulders are too broad. There's a lesson in there. Please subscribe to me. I need your subscriptions, please. I'm falling off. I need you to sub right now. Please. Donate to me now. I need money.